Alright, hey guys, Pogo here, and welcome to day 4, the last day of the RPG Game Jam. Today, we've already basically done all of the important things. We've gotten the map to render, the player goes on and walk around, event system and everything. So now we're just going to add in all the kind of extra fun things. The two things that I already know that we're going to do is music, so that we can have like background music, and also a couple of examples using the event system that we made. So one of the requests was like an entity where you could actually spawn in, another person, and when you go to talk to them, have it actually do something. So we will do some stuff like that. Before we begin, just two quick little housekeeping things. If you go ahead and check out the repository, this is the last day of the jam. But after this, for forever pretty much, the code will be available on the repository. If you're watching this live, there's a post right under the live video that says GitHub repo, and you can access it there. If you're not, go down to the description and you can find it there. Notice that I did add a license, which is the do what you want to public license, which basically means if you read it, you just do what you want to. You can do whatever you want with this code, commercial or non-commercial. I do hope that you would give credit to me if you do decide to use this, and also if you use any assets that were not created by myself or you, then you would need to give credit to them. So if you got any images or audio or whatever, you need to give the proper credit if you're even allowed to use them in the first place. So don't forget that. But this code is available for you to do whatever you want with it. You can download it, make your own game out of it. You can fork the repository, fix bugs, add new features, and submit a pull request, which I'd be happy to take in. Just anything you want, the code's up for you to use. The second thing quickly is you might notice down in the dock that my IntelliJ icon looks a little bit different. Yesterday it was kind of a pale gray, but now it's more of a lively blue color. And the reason why is because one of my subscribers, by the name of the Space Mancraft, was nice enough to go ahead and purchase a copy of IntelliJ IDEA Ultimate for me. So as you can see, it is licensed to me, Pokestick29 Dev. So thank you very much for that. This is the ultimate version of IntelliJ IDEA. Basically, it just has a bunch of extra plugins and features. So if you're using the regular Community Edition, it's still just as good, and you can still do everything with it. But I just wanted to thank Spaceman for the gift. Thank you very much. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the music. Now, the issue with Java is that there really isn't a great way to go about playing music. There's no rock-solid built-in API. I've looked for a long time to try to find the best solution, and I've come up with two different solutions, and I'll go ahead and show both of them to you today. The first solution, the one that we're going to go ahead and do first, is using a library called JLayer. JLayer is a library that allows you to play MP3 files in Java. So by downloading this library, you can actually load in an MP3 file that we have bundled with the application, just like with the images. Load something in, and then you can actually play music using this. Now, it is incredibly limited. Basically, all you can do with it is create a new audio player, play the music, and then stop it when you're done with it. There's not really anything that you can do, but it does work. Now, this is a separate library, so you're going to have to download it and bundle it with your application. And you also want to make sure that you follow the license again, as my code is available for you to do whatever you want with, but if you actually go ahead and use this library in a project, you need to make sure that you're following their license. So if you want to go ahead and download it, there's two ways. You can click download right here and grab the latest version, which is actually not that new because It is from 2008. This library may or may not be abandoned, but it does still work. It's not the best solution, but it's the second best solution that I've found. So you're probably going to want to go ahead and download this zip and then find the binary, the jar file for JLayer, and drag that in. However, if you are using Maven or if you have any version of IntelliJ, you can take advantage of the awesome feature that will automatically pull libraries from Maven. Maven is it's a protocol used in Java and possibly even other languages, but I believe it's only Java, for easily keeping your dependencies in check. So by taking this right here, this little piece of code right here, or not code, this piece of text right here, it will automatically download and install the latest version of JLayer into your project, and if there's ever an update, then it'll automatically update it for you. It's really, really nice. So I'm going to show you how to use that now. Again, if you are using Eclipse or you just don't want to do this, you can, of course, go to this website and download JLayer. I'm going to go ahead and put both of these in the chat of the live stream, and I will also go ahead and put it in the description of the video if you're not watching it live. And it appears that live stream is kind of being a little bit annoying. There we go. If you're watching this in the live stream, for whatever reason, even though I created the event, can't post links. So it's javazoom.net/javaplayer/searches, and then this other one is mvnrepository.com/artifacts/com.googlecode.soundlibs.jlayer/1.0.1-1. So that's where you can find them if you want to do this live. So in order to use this, we want to go ahead and copy this group ID right here. We're going to head over to Eclipse and go ahead and do right-click and Properties, which you can also access, and I can't find it right now, but Command semicolon, or maybe Control semicolon. You want to go to the Project Settings, Libraries. You'll be given the option, if you're using Java, if you just download the jar file and you add it to your project, then you can just choose Java. If you want to use Maven, then you can go ahead and paste in the group ID, colon, and then in this case it's going to be JLayer. Go ahead and hit search, and it will search through the centralized Maven repository, and still going. And as you can see, we now have, we want to go ahead and get this one, the 1.0.1-1. Check, I guess we want to also check Java Docs, and let's check download to with your path, and then lib for library. Go ahead and hit OK, and Maven will do its thing. And you want to make sure that you add it to the RPG29 module, hit apply, and OK. Now you'll notice that these things were downloaded. If you take a look right here, you have RPG29, then under lib you have JLayer. This is the regular one. This is the Java doc, which is just like the documentation that tells you, what the methods do and how to use them. It's generally recommended that you download them so that you can easily tell how to use it. And then JUnit, which is just a dependency. It's just for like unit testing. Not terribly important. If you are using just the plain old Java download, then you can make a lib folder, drag it in there, and then add it using the Java method instead of the from Maven repository method. And then that will automatically add it to your build path, and we'll be good. Let's go ahead and ignore that. And, alright. So here's our main, and we're going to go ahead and make a new Java package. Actually, we want to do a package first, which we will call audio. This audio package is going to contain the audio player, which will actually, play the audio, and then it will also contain an enumerator for music so that you can easily pick the song that you want it to play, just a utility. So let's go ahead and first do the audio player. Audio player. Now, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and make the method static because there's no need to store anything. If you did want to keep a reference to all of your media players that are currently active, then you could definitely make a singleton, and then so that you could have those instance variables that you want. But for this, I'm just going to go ahead, and I think we only need one static method, and it's going to be public static void play music, and it's going to take a final music, which we will call music, and that's the method. Let's just go ahead and quickly define a new numerator called music. And music is very simple. It just takes a path, and we're going to go like this. We're going to say first we have test, and the path is, or we'll call this, the first one we're just going to call village, if I can even spell it right. I think that's right. And then village, because the example song that we're going to use is just like a background song, 8-bit background track for a village. So that's what we're going to use for our example, so I'm going to name it village. It's going to take so we're going to store a string called path, and we're going to have our constructor that takes a string called path, and we're going to say this dot path is equal to, and we're going to store it in audio, then music, and then path.mp3. So that's where we're going to store it in the resources folder. Then we just need to have our public string getPath, which will return path. And that's all we need for music. Go over here, and we won't have that error anymore. Now, we're going to go ahead and say, we need to go ahead and call threadutil dot, and we need to go ahead and make a method called runThread in background, because this needs to be, and we'll go ahead and create the method. This needs to be running in the background because if you had it running with the code, then it would basically stop the code to play the music, and this is supposed to be happening in the background. So we're just going to write a method that starts a new thread for the background, and that is all that we will need to do. So for this, we are actually going to use something new. We're going to use what's called a swing worker, which will it's basically a class that is defined by swing that will do things independently of the swing thread, which means that it will not interrupt swing in order to do whatever I want to do. And in this case, it's going to be running a thread behind swing. So to instantiate it, you go ahead and call swing worker, and this takes two type parameters. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. This takes two type parameters, and basically what you could actually do with the swing worker is, have different, like, you could give it, I believe this is like, I think the first one is what it takes in when you call it, and then the second one is what it returns. In this case, we're just going to go ahead and do void comma void because, excuse me, wow. We're just going to do void comma void because we're just running it in the background and we're not expecting any kind of a return. But I think if you look into it more, you could actually have it, return something when you go ahead and run it. And we're just going to call this thread equal to new swing worker void comma void. Then you'll notice that it will give us this method automatically, public void with a capital V, do in background throws exception. This is the method that is required by all swing workers. This is the method, this is what happens in the background, and this void return type, if I had specified something different up there, then it could actually return a value. So that is how that works. So in here, all that we want to do is, first of all, we need to take one parameter, which is going to be a final runnable, which we will call run, and we need to make this final so that we can access it within this swing worker, which is an internal thing. So all we need to do is call run.run, And basically, we're going to pass this a runnable, and then it's going to run that runnable, and then we're just going to say return null. Because we need to return something since it's a void, not lowercase, it's actually void, which is a class. So it needs to return something. And we're just going to return null since we're, of course, going to ignore it anyways. Then, finally, we just need to call thread.run. So we've set up this thread, this swing worker thing, and now we're going to actually go ahead and run it. So we have our run thread and background method. You can call this whenever you want something to happen independently of the GUI process. So let's go ahead and do run thread and background, and this is going to take a new runnable, and inside of the run method, let me see if I can remember this. We're going to go ahead and use player. Make sure you use javazoom.jl.player, not the one that we made. This is player as in like an audio player, so import the correct player. We're going to call this player. It's equal to new player, and what does this take in? I believe that this takes in we're going to go ahead and use the resource util.getInstance.get resource, and the resource is going to be not that, it's going to be music.getPath. I believe that is what we want to do, and let's see if that's not right. Okay, so we also need to surround this inside of a try and catch, because, you know, there is a chance that something could go wrong. And for this, we're just going to go ahead and print the stack trace if something happens. And this wants an input stream, so I think we want to do get resource as stream. Okay, so now we have the player. We've instantiated a Java or JLayer player given the path of the music. To go ahead and do player dot, we can take a look inside what's in here. There's the close method, which is for, you know, closing it up and being done with the player. Get position, which returns where it is in the current audio. Is complete, is it done or not? Play, and then play for inframe. I think that's the amount of time that you want it to play. All we can really do is just player.play, and then we definitely want to do player.close so that the player will be closed and we don't have a ton of players open that are taking up memory. If you do this with like sound effects, then you don't want to have a ton of players just taking up memory. Alright, so player.close. Alright. And that looks good. So let's actually go ahead and test this out. So first we need to, of course, go to the resources folder and set this up properly. And what this is going to take, what we need to do first is we need to do a new package, which we can just call this audio, like what we did before, audio, and then music. And then we're going to go ahead and take, I already got us a song, which I'm going to drag over here. Now this particular song is from this, it's this video, the 8-bit village loop from Techno Axe. I will link to this in the description, but I've gone ahead and downloaded it from the link that was provided, and it is royalty free, so that is why I chose it. So of course I'm giving credit. I did not make this, I just downloaded it from here, and I will of course also link to it in the description of the video, so you can check that out. So let's go ahead and add that to Git so that you guys can also get it. And in this case, we will rename this to Village so that it will work with that. Alright. What we're going to do now in order to hook in the audio player, and you might choose to change this later, but what I've done is inside of when we go to define the map, we can add the background music for the map right in there, because chances are each map is going to have its own unique song, or maybe it'll be, you know, a song that's shared with everything in common, like a path from one city to another city. So we'll actually go ahead and define it in here. And so what we'll do is under the type of the map, we will go ahead and give it the constant inside of music. So in this case, the only option is village. Sorry about that, guys. Village, and that is the one that we want to use. So, excuse this, guys, sorry. So we have village right here, and let's actually just go ahead and say, first we need to define a private music called background music, and we're going to say this dot background music is equal to music dot value of reader dot read line. So I gave it village, it'll find that village constant inside of music and then set background music to be that. Then we need to go ahead and do, this is going to be right here, public music get background music, and this will return background music. So we just have this little getter. Then inside of Map Manager, when we go to actually load in the map and move the player where they're supposed to go, we will also go ahead in here and call audio player dot play music map dot get background music. So we're calling that play music method inside of audio player. When we go to load the map, then we're going to tell it to play the music, and then the music that we're giving it is this particular background music. So we'll go ahead and see if this works. Now if you're having trouble with this, you might actually need to store the current player that's playing and then close the one that's playing already and then open a new one, which we might actually end up doing. But alright, I've configured the live stream program to listen to the internal audio, so this might be really loud. You might not even be able to hear it, but let's see if I can hear it and whether or not it will actually work. So here we go. Alright, so it started up. Alright, well, I'm not sure if you guys can hear this or not. The music is certainly playing, but the map is not showing up. So we are going to have to go ahead and take a look at that. It's just not rendering the map, and now it's having trouble closing. Please stop. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look and see if we can fix this. Alright. So, first let's make sure that we're doing that run thread in background correctly. Run thread in background. Run.run return null, and then thread.run. And that does appear to be okay. If this doesn't work, then we'll try something else. But that does appear to be okay. Might have to do with something in here. So we did not get a stack trace, but it just, held us up for a while. So alright, let's try something else. Let's try changing the run thread and background method, because we were using a swing worker, but let's try using an actual plain old Java thread, and maybe that will be helpful instead. Thread is equal to new thread, and it takes a runnable, so we'll just give it that runnable that was already given, and then we can go ahead and say thread.start, so the thread will start. Let's see if this works. Might work. We'll see. Well, you know what? It looks like that did it. So we will stick with this. What I've done is I've set it to run in a separate thread, its own thread. So it's running independently of this. I thought that a swing worker would be able to do it, but I suppose not. As you can see and hear, it is working. Obviously the animation is working just as well as it has. However choppy it is still working. And I do still hear the music. So I guess we'll just go ahead and use that method since it works, and I'm not going to fight the swing worker on this. So that's all. And we're good there. So we've set up this music, and the audio player play music does work. We set the map to have another field inside of it, which is the background music, and then we set it to play that specific music. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you another version of the audio player that will actually work. Not only, first of all, it uses built-in Java. So it uses, you don't need to download another library, it's built in, but it does require Java 7 or above, which means that if you're still on Java 6, or you plan on using this on any given machine with Java 6, like if you distribute it to people and they have Java 6, the code in its entirety, all of the code, will not run in its entirety. I guess, I don't know. So, you would only want to use this if you're sure that you and anyone else using the code has at least Java 7. But I'm going to go ahead and switch the project over to use Java 7 and hit apply and OK. It's going to reload the project, and I now am using the Java 7 SDK, which will give me access to this new, this other better audio player. Now, the reason why it's better, not only is it built in, but it has a ton of other methods, like a method for getting, like a method for changing the volume, and just it has a lot of methods, and you'll see them all soon. So we're going to go ahead and in play music, we're just going to comment out these 3 lines, and we're going to replace them with some other lines that will use our new media player framework. So you're going to go ahead and write media. And we want to use javafx.scene.media, that particular one, and we'll just call this media. It's equal to new media. Now this is going to take resource util.getInstance.get resource. This is just not a stream, just get resource, and it's going, sorry, music.getPath.toExternal form. This is outside. Media itself takes a string, so we're getting the path of the music, which is right here, and then we're getting the external form of it, which is what media wants to have. So that's how you instantiate it. Then you'll notice that media itself has a bunch of methods in it, but we need to make a media player so that we can play it. Media player is equal to new media player, and we're going to give it media. If you go ahead and do player dot, you'll notice that there are a ton of methods in here. First of all, there is play, which will of course play it, but there's a ton of getting and setting properties of it. Like if we go down to set, you can see you can have different events, and then here's the setters. You can set, do you want it to automatically start playing or no? Do you want you can set the balance, you can mute it if you want, you can set, and then all these setters for, like, if there's an error, then this runnable will run, if it's playing, then this runnable will run. The volume is a double, it takes it between 0 and 1, so if you give it 0.5, it'll be half the volume. That's one of the really cool features. You can set different, tons of different features in this, which is what makes it really great. So in this case, we're just going to go ahead and say player.play, but we also can do player.setCycleCount to integer.max value. And what I believe this does, and I haven't had any trouble with it, is it should set it to play forever. Since it's a background song, we want it to keep playing forever. Then we can also do player.setVolume to 0.5, which will have it play at half volume. Since it's background music, we don't want it to be as loud, so we can actually do that. So I think that is a pretty cool thing that we can do. And alright, so that should be good for this media player. Now there's one very important thing that you need to do. If you notice the import javafx.scene.media player, this class, or these two classes, are part of JavaFX, which is it's sort of similar to Swing, but a little bit different, and it is also built into Java. So what we want to do is, if we go ahead and run this right now, which I guess I'll show you, it's not going to work. And hang on one second, let's let it run. As you can see, we got this error that says toolkit not initialized, and all that means is we're trying to use something that's a part of JavaFX, but we haven't properly initialized JavaFX. And the easiest way to do this is if we head over to frame right here, we just call like this, new JFX panel. JFX panel is a class from JavaFX that allows you to embed JavaFX into Swing. What's important is that this will initialize the toolkit or whatever. It'll set everything up for us just by making that one call, and now the audio player will work. Let's go ahead and give it a try. And as you can see, it is playing. Now, it is quiet because it's at half volume. I don't know how loud it is for you guys, but if I bump up my volume a little bit, it is still pretty loud, or pretty soft. So, yes, that does work. And let me just go ahead and run it one more time, now that the volume's a little bit louder. Alright, hang on one second. It does appear to be playing, and then it randomly stops. I wonder if that has to do with set cycle count. That could be the issue, but I would be surprised if it is. Let's see if we can fix the issue or not. No, it appears to be stopping. I don't think I had this issue before. That is quite strange. If you're getting the same issue with this, then I don't know. That's very, very strange if it's doing that. And if that's the case, then you might want to just switch back to JLayer, because it does definitely work. And I'm just going to go ahead and switch back over to JLayer as well, because I know that that works, and we can comment out that JFX panel line. Now, Smelly Jelly 1998 says, on Windows, it cuts off part of the player due to Windows silly bevel on the frame. Any ideas on fixing it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume that you're talking about the fact that, if we go ahead and run this for a second, the bevel is this, like, kind of border, and I guess it's rather large on Windows. So if that is the issue that you're talking about, there is a way to fix it, and let me just see if I can remember. I know it's a setter, and it's going to be set. Let me see if I can remember this. It's set undecorated, and we want to make set undecorated be true, and this should, let's give this a second, this should work. And alright, so now the window is completely undecorated. There's no bevel, and there's also no drag bar, which means that you can't actually move this around. You could, of course, add a mouse drag listener to make it move if you drag on the screen, but I'm not going to keep this. Now, you would also, there's a little white on the bottom, I guess, because we got rid of the top menu bar, so you would just size it down a little bit. But that is how you would go about doing it if you wanted to. I'm not going to keep that, but I will leave it there as a comment, and I'll just go ahead and write get rid of bevel and menu bar, or just like top bar, whatever. And then this is going to be called set up JavaFX audio player. Just so that you know why it's there, it's just setting up the JavaFX audio player. And then this right here, I'm just going to quickly comment these. This is going to be the JLayer audio player. And then this is going to be the Java FX audio player. So I'm going to leave both of them in there. You can pick which one you want to use, but I'm sticking with the J layer because it does obviously seem to be working. Alright, so we are done with music, and it does work. Now, one request was for NPCs. NPC, if you don't know, means non-player character. It's just any character other than the player, and you can, interact with them and do different things with them. So let's actually go ahead and go to the game, this sample listener class, and we have this move event that we wrote, but let's also go ahead and say player, we'll just call this player NPC is equal to new player. So we're going to make another player. Now, don't forget, we can do this because player just represents, player is just an entity, but I'm telling it to pull from the player sprite sheet. So it's going to look exactly the same as the controllable player, but you won't be able to control it because the player that you can actually control is stored inside of GUI, and that's a special one that we actually control. So this is just separate. If you wanted to make another NPC class, if you had another tile sheet for an NPC, then you could of course do that. Excuse me. Inside of NPC, you'll see that we already have a ton of methods that we got from entity. Excuse me. But what we want to do is, of course, set location to map manager .getInstance .get current map .get location, and we'll go ahead and stick him at 1, 1. So we have this move event thing at 0, 0, and we're going to stick him at 1, 1. Now remember, if you go to the main method, you'll see that we don't register these, we don't do all these special things until after the frame is set up and the map is set up. If you did this before you set up the frame, then there would be no current map because, well, map manager wouldn't be set up, and it might actually work, but you just want to be careful with that. And now, if we go ahead and run it, you will see, just give it 1 second to start up, you will see that there is now another player who looks exactly like me, sitting up there at 1, 1. Now, interacting with him doesn't really do anything because I didn't register an event yet. Now, excuse me for 1 second. I'm just going to turn off the speaker audio so that you don't need to keep listening to the same music while I'm talking, because, no need to do that. So now let's actually go ahead and register an event. Event dispatcher.getInstance.register listener. This is going to be a listener of type interact with entity event. And we need to pass it in here, interact with entity event dot class, because it needs to know the class. Then this, instead of event, this needs to be interact with entity event, and that'll make those errors go away. And then inside of here, when we have this event, which I'm going to call E, we can do E dot, and you'll see that we can do get location and point is to check if the point where it happened is a specific point. But then we can also call get entity. So let's go ahead and make this NPC final so we can access it in here. And we can say e.getEntity.equals NPC. So if the entity with which we interacted is in fact the NPC, then, and this is supposed to be if, of course. But if it is, for now let's just go ahead and say system.out.println hello there. Not really, I can't think of anything else that we would want it to do, but we'll have it say hello there. And if you want to make this interesting, we can go ahead and define a private int I, which will by default be 0, and we'll say and I is less than 5. We'll say hello there, and then I++. Or, well, actually, we need to put this. Then in here, we'll say if I is less than 5. Then we want to do this. Else, request, remove. And so what we're doing here is we're keeping a counter. So as long as I is less than 5, we say hello there, and then we add 1. But as soon as that's false, then request remove gets called, which means that this listener will work exactly 5 times, and then it will go away. So let's actually go ahead and give this a try. Let me mute my computer. And if we go ahead and walk over and I press enter, you'll see it says hello there. That was the first time. Hello there. Hello there. It does work on all, you got the 0, 0. It does work on all sides. Let's do it the 5th time. And then all future times you will see are not actually making anything happen because, as you can see, there is no... It already happened 5 times. I is 5, so then the listener automatically removed itself. Or not automatically, but it did remove itself, and now the NPC is not doing anything else. So that is how we use the listener with an NPC to do something. Obviously, you'd want to do something other than print out a message to the console, but that is how you would go about doing it. And that was a request. So that's music, and... let's see, that's music and using NPCs. I can't really think of anything else that needs to get mentioned. If you guys think of any ideas or you want to contribute cool ideas, feel free to fork the repository, do your work, and if you're interested in contributing the work back to everyone else, you can submit a pull request, and I would be happy to take in some of the new features so that everyone else can access them. But otherwise, I think we might end a little bit early because there's not too much else to do. Alright. So, just quickly ask the live stream people if there's anything else that they were interested in. And let's just see if we get a response. I'll just give them a minute. Alright, well, it looks like the people watching live are satisfied, and we are good for this series. Thank you guys so much for following me over these 4 days as we started from scratch and made this pretty cool little RPG game. So, I don't know, I think it's pretty cool that we have now created a game that will load in a map, have a player that will accept key input, and do different things with this awesome event system. Possibilities are, there's a lot of possibilities with this engine, and I'm giving it to all of you absolutely free for any use, commercial or not. So that's all. Again, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun, and I will definitely be doing a lot more live streaming in the future because I have a lot of fun doing the streams live and actually interacting with people, and then of course posting them on YouTube after if you missed the live stream or missed the live stream. So that is all for the Game Jam. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys back on YouTube with some more videos starting tomorrow. Bye guys.